Don't get ahead of yourself yet, you bastard. Mr. Wangley shouted in anger. You have to remember that Mr. Harmon isn't the only one who's poisoned here. Without my antidote, you won't be able to live past tomorrow with my poison in your system. Is that so? Wanna bet on who kicks the bucket first? Dustin chuckled. Why you dash? Mr. Wangley had been rendered speechless. Looking at the current state of affairs, it was obvious that Quinton was the one who would lose first. And it was exactly for this reason that Mr. Wangley proposed to call it a draw. Unfortunately, the other party was having none of it. Hurry up and give me the antidote already, Dustin. We'll count this as a loss on our side. Quinton yielded grudgingly. If it weren't for the fact that he really couldn't bear the pain anymore, he would never concede to a puny ant like him. You can't just say that you've lost. Where's the sincerity in that, Mr. Harmon? Dustin teased while shaking his head. Don't you test me, Rhys. Quinton roared. When you make mistakes, it's only logical you admit that your wrongdoings, no? Are you telling me that you can't even do that much? Dustin urged on, devoid of the slightest bit of fear. Oh, so you want me to get down on my knees and admit my mistakes to you? What makes you think you're fucking worthy of that? Quinton sneered as his expression turned cold. Of course, I'm not worthy. I guess you'll just have to get rid of the poison by yourselves then, Dustin replied with a shrug. Are you threatening me right now? Quinton scowled. Goodness, no. I'm just returning the favor, Dustin replied, unperturbed. Enough, everyone stops this farce at once. Jessica suddenly screamed. You'd better hurry and pass the antidote to Quinton right now, Dustin. Otherwise, you won't be able to take responsibility if anything happens to him after this. With all due respect, ma'am, every man considers his promises like gold. So since I made a promise just now, naturally I would need to fulfill that promise, Dustin replied plainly. What are you on about? And why do you insist on making yourself an enemy of the Harmons today? Jessica snapped, her pretty face now stone cold. She initially thought that Dustin would back down and be the bigger man in this situation, but didn't expect him to be so insensitive instead. Can you cut the act already? You didn't say anything when Quinton was bullying Dustin before, so why are you jumping to Quinton's aid when he's in a difficult situation now? Do you even have a shred of dignity left? Natasha suddenly voiced out. Why are you speaking for an outsider when Quinton is your own cousin? Jessica frowned. I only speak for the truth, not blood relations. Natasha proclaimed, righteously. Quinton was the one who started this whole thing in the first place, so now he's getting what he deserves. Since we're outsiders in their competition, we should just sit and watch and not interfere. Why you dash? Jessica growled, obviously angry at her daughter's outburst. Although she let Natasha have her way outside, she really could not do anything about her in private. All of her nagging and lectures failed to get to her. She was such a thorn in her side. This is the last time I'm going to ask, Rhys. Are you giving me the antidote or not? Quinton demanded while gritting his teeth. And I'll reply with the same answer. Kneel down and apologize first, Dustin stated flatly. Fine. Fine. Quinton finally gave in with a sinister look on his face. I can kneel down, for sure, but are you sure you want to take responsibility for the consequences that ensue? Quinton growled, his expression was murderous now. I'll need to see it for myself first. Dustin smiled mockingly. Fine. I hope you don't regret this. Quinton shouted through clenched teeth. After hesitating for 2 seconds, he finally dropped down to the floor on his knees with a heavy thud. But as he knelt, his death glare was firmly planted on Dustin, and his expression extremely fierce. Humiliating him in public like this was equal to asking for death. The man has already knelt before you? Satisfied now, Dustin? Hurry up and hand him the antidote then. Jessica snapped. Humiliating Quinton Harmon was equal to humiliating the entirety of the Harmon family. How dare a measly doctor humiliated a Harmon like that? He was really asking to be killed. Here. Bottoms up. Dustin said as he fished out a small, white vial and poured out the powdery contents into a cup of tea. Is that hexanavir? Mr. Wangley thought to himself.